Good evening, my fellow navigators, and welcome back to another video. In honor of Halloween, we are going to be counting down the top 10 creepiest Pokemon cards of all time. Now, as frightening as this journey might be, even more hair-raising than that would be if you watch the entire video without giving it a like. So before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button for me and show your support for the channel. And without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this list of the top 10 creepiest Pokemon cards of all time. And coming in at our number 10 spot is the demented pumpkin Pokemon, Gourgeist. And the particular card that we are featuring is from Crimson Invasion. And this is card number 45 out of 111. Now, this card is scary enough in its own right, but what really sets it apart for me is the bio on this particular card. And it reads as such: this Pokemon, singing in eerie voices, they wander town streets on the night of a new moon. Anyone who hears their song is cursed. So when you're out trick-or-treating on this All Hallows Eve, if you happen to hear singing in the distance, just remember, there may be a Gourgeist nearby. And coming in at our number 9 spot on this list of the creepiest Pokemon cards of all time, this card may have you thinking twice about going to the beach on those sunny afternoons, and it is none other than the Pokemon Palossand. And this card comes to us from the Sun and Moon base set. It is card number 75 out of 149. Now, I don't know about you, but there's a lot of creepy, crawly things that can come from the ocean or that can be washed up on the beach. But in this case, this particular Pokemon is even more terrifying than that. And it reads as such: buried beneath the castle are masses of dried up bones from those whose vitality it has drained. So the next time that you're building that sand castle on the beach and having a wonderful time, keep in mind that there may be more buried beneath the sand than meets the eye. Now, with Halloween right around the corner, and as we venture out into the streets tomorrow to do some trick-or-treating, we are bound to see plenty of masks out there featuring various different creatures from all walks of the horror realm, but none is really more terrifying than this particular Pokemon. Yes, we're talking about none other than Yamask. And the particular card that we're speaking of comes from Dark Explorers, and this is card number 51 out of 108. Now, there's a lot of scary masks out there, but this particular Pokemon may have you frightened more than most. And its bio reads as such on this particular card: each of them carries a mask that used to be its face when it was a human. Sometimes they look at it and they cry. Now, I don't know about you guys, but the fact that this may have potentially been a human at some point, and now it's carrying around its former face, much like that, something like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, is pretty terrifying, especially when you consider that this particular Pokemon and the Pokemon brand was really created for children. So when you're out on the streets this evening, keep in mind that there may be more terrifying masks about than what meets the eye. Now, as many of you know, I like to do a bit of hiking in my spare time, but after we feature the card on the number 7 spot on this list, we may all have to rethink before we venture out into the wilderness. And we are speaking none other than the ice Pokemon Glalie. And this card comes to us from the set Guardians Rising. It is card number 32 out of 145. And the bio of this particular card reads as such: legend says a boulder on an icy mountain absorbed the distress and regrets of a stranded mountaineer, giving rise to Glalie. So essentially, you had an inanimate object that took on the persona of this stranded mountaineer. I don't know about you, but the next time that I go hiking, I may go ahead and bring a map along with me just in case. Now, as we enter the holiday season, one of the things that many of us like to do is to attend parties in celebration of these holidays. And coming in at the number 6 spot on this list, this particular Pokemon may have you thinking differently about the decorations you're to see at some of these parties. And we're talking about none other than the supernatural balloon Pokemon, Drifloon. And this particular card comes to us from the set Unified Minds, and it is card number 80 out of 236. And its bio reads as such: its round body is stuffed with souls and expands each time it leads someone away. So now when you attend those parties, you may have a different outlook on the decor that those guests are featuring. And coming in at the number 5 spot on the top 10 list of the creepiest Pokemon cards of all time is none other than the possessed lamp Pokemon, Lampent. And this particular card comes to us from the set Next Destinies, and it is card number 80 out of 236. And if the card itself wasn't terrifying enough, with a lamp, a possessed lamp nonetheless, wandering down an abandoned alleyway, then maybe the bio may be even more terrifying. And it reads as such: it arrives near the moment of death and steals spirit away from the body. So the next time that you're wandering down a lonely street or a lonely highway and you see some of those street lights next to you as you're driving along or going for a stroll, just remember that may be a Pokemon that is looking to take your soul away. And arriving at the number 4 spot on our list, this particular Pokemon perhaps has the saddest backstory of all others, and that is none other than Cubone. Now, for many of you, you may remember the original games, Red and Blue, where Cubone was searching for the soul of its dead mother, Marowak. And this particular card, I feel, is most terrifying and most creepy due to the bio that it reads. And it reads as such: when it thinks of its dead mother, it cries. Its crying makes the skull it wears rattle hollowly. And to me, that is quite terrifying. And again, especially considering that these cards were made for children, you can only imagine being a young child and reading through the bios on many of these more joyful Pokemon and then coming across Cubone. I imagine that this left a mark on many young kids' dreams. And speaking of dreams, coming in at the number 3 spot on our list is the Pokemon that has quite the appetite for dreams, and that is the Dream Taper, Drowzee. And this particular card comes to us from the set HeartGold, SoulSilver, and it is card number 62 out of 123. Now, the bio on this particular card is probably the most terrifying of all, especially considering that most terrifying figures throughout horror history always came around when you were sleeping, and Drowzee makes no exception to that rule. It reads as such: it remembers every dream it eats. It rarely eats the dreams of adults because children's are much tastier. Now, imagine being a young child and reading this. It was probably very difficult to go to sleep that night, and especially considering the fact that if you were to have a good dream, there was a chance that there would be a Drowzee nearby to have a feast on it. Alright, fellow navigators, we have made our way to the number 2 spot on our list of the top 10 creepiest Pokemon cards of all time. Now, as I said, many of you are going to be going out tomorrow night dressed in various costumes, but perhaps there is no costume scarier than the one this particular Pokemon wears, and yes, I'm speaking than none other than the Pokemon Mimikyu. Now, Mimikyu's story is quite terrifying in and of itself, and this particular card that we're featuring comes to us from Guardians Rising, and it is card number 58 out of 145. And since we first saw Mimikyu back in the Sun and Moon era, I believe it has always captivated our imagination as to what lay under the rags that it wears. But after you read the bio on this particular card, you may want to rethink taking a look under those rags. And it reads as such: its actual appearance is unknown. A scholar who saw what was under its rag was overwhelmed by terror and died from the shock. And much in the same manner as the attack featured on this card, it appears in this case that curiosity certainly killed the cat. Alright everyone, we have arrived at the #1 spot on this list of the top 10 creepiest Pokemon cards of all time. And this particular Pokemon is one of the originals. It has been terrifying us from the very beginning, and it is the OG Ghost-type Pokemon. Yes, I'm talking about none other than Haunter. And this particular card comes to us from the set Triumphant, and it is card number 35 out of 102. And if ghosts weren't scary enough, then perhaps this bio may instill even more fear in your idea and your image of this particular Pokemon. Its tongue is made of gas. If licked, its victim starts shaking constantly until death eventually comes. Now, I don't know about you, but that seems like a horrible way to go. And the fact that this Pokemon lurks in the shadows, waiting for its unsuspecting victim to come along in order to take its life, not just instantly, but slowly and methodically, that brings Haunter to the top of our list of the top 10 creepiest Pokemon cards of all time. So that is going to do it for today, fellow navigators. Thank you for joining me on this journey of the creepiest Pokemon cards of all time. I wish all of you a safe and happy Halloween. Other than that, I will see you all next time. My name is PokéNav. I'm here to help you navigate the world of Pokemon one video at a time, and I will see you all in the next video.